Welcome to our first introductory webinar on the Innovate Ealing programme that you have all hopefully signed up for. And the purpose of this meeting is just to give you oversight into what the programme is all about, start some learning for what you're going to be doing, and to get you started on the whole programme. So just to give you an overview, this is what we're going to be talking about today. You're going to have me, I'm Amelia Grant from West London Business, and through our London West Innovation Network programme, we are running this programme on behalf of Ealing Council. We will then hand over to Tony from Brandwin, who will talk to you a little bit more about the programme and what can be expected. And then we can have some Q&A from you, the attendees, and talk about what the next steps are for you to get involved on the programme. So just to give you a bit of background on what the Innovate Ealing is, it's funded by the UK's, the government's UK Shared Prosperity Fund, for short UKSPF, in case you didn't already know that. We have been commissioned by Ealing Council, and I think we've got a couple of Ealing Council people on the call, so that would be good. If they would like to make any comments, we would welcome that. And obviously this is targeted at Ealing businesses. We have a target of 60 businesses to support through this programme. And it provides you advice and support to allow you to realise your growth potential, and hopefully that way creating new jobs and increase your productivity for overall success for Ealing. We are also taking the opportunity to celebrate London living wage businesses, particularly in Ealing, as it's a big focus for Ealing Council to ensure that all of its businesses are signed up to the London living wage. And as such, they have a programme of engagement to support those businesses who aren't already on the programme to get on board and sign up. So for more information on that, we can tell you a little bit more about that later on. So who are we, and why should you trust us to help you with your growth? So West London Business has been going for over 30 years. For those of you who don't know us, we operate in the 7 boroughs of West London. Sort of, if you think of London like a clock, we go from midday to 9 o'clock and all the way out to Heathrow, mapping onto the West London Alliance boroughs. Brandwin Business Support has been going for half as long and has been providing all sorts of business, expert business advice and counsel to businesses, not just in Ealing either, but across West London. And they've been supporting the growth in the sector along with us. And together, Brandwin and West London Business have built this programme of support specifically to address the needs of businesses. And when you filled in your form for application, we captured all of those responses that you gave us in order to really tailor-make the programme to support you. And I think Tony will probably be talking about that a little bit later on. So why should you take part and how can you do so? Well, first of all, it's free to you because this is using government money, which the whole point is to be able to support you in doing better. So it's been designed specifically around you and it costs you nothing but time and effort. It's been delivered by experts who really listen to you. So all of your feedback that you have given in your application form and later on in your one-to-ones will really develop the programme so it's tailor-made for you. If you haven't already completed the application form, please do so. That's quite important, so we can make sure that we're doing the best for you and that you're eligible to take part. We would ask you to diarise the webinars that you will see later on screen coming up over the next 6 months, so that you can make sure that you get everything you can out of the programme. And also book your one-to-one with Tony. That's quite important because that's where you really get the tailor-made expert advice. And finally, just make the most of this opportunity. We hear from businesses all the time that they don't get the support they need or access to opportunities, and this is one of those. So really grasp it and run with it. And you can see there is a link if you haven't already signed up, find out more about the programme and fill in the application form. I will now hand over to Tony, who will talk you through the rest of the day. Thank you.
Great, thanks Amelia, and thanks for that brilliant introduction to the programme. I was looking at the people here. I think I know pretty much everybody who's in the audience today. As Amelia introduced, this is part of the LWIN, London West Innovation Network, opportunity for you to grow your business and benefit from the one-to-one advice and seminars that we have. And I'm going to run through who we are and what we're doing. So myself, Tony Mulvale, I'm managing this program on behalf of West London Business and Branduin. I'm one of the Branduin team, but those of you who know me know I also work with the University of West London in the fabulous Claude Littner Business School, as well as running my own consultancy, Planning for the Best. There are always opportunities to meet with local businesses to network and understand, okay, how can we do better in the business space? We are a business support organization, so there are a number of consultants like myself who are part of the Branduin team. We're a virtual consultancy, so we work in the West London area, South Herts. We have programs across Ealing, Hillingdon, Watford, and other parts of London as well, Wandsworth, and one other that escapes my mind at this point in time. But we work with chambers of commerce, universities. We have also been involved with some of the hubs, the skills hubs that have been set up, and other institutions locally. And part of what we do is talk to you about what are your challenges and what are the opportunities for you to grow or reshape your business, scale up, or even diversify into overseas markets. So there's a broad range of opportunity available to talk about things. So who is Team Branduin? Established in 2011, that's over nearly 15 years ago. We've run about 45 programs across London and Southeast, Southwest. We have over 25,000 SMEs we've worked with across a variety of sizes and shapes. So from micro businesses all the way up to larger businesses across multiple different industries. And we work closely with Ealing Council on a number of occasions. This is the third program we're working with Ealing on in the last couple of years. And we are, London, Northeast, and also moving into the Midlands. We have a number of bespoke programs that we offer around starting up, which is Goal Map, which is the business model canvas, to our sales map, which is how you get the sales in and scale up what you want to do with your business. We have our Fortuna for women in business, which is all about inclusivity. We have our Fit for Finance and Fit for Bid programs, and our Fit to Export. So there's a number of different programs that we have available that are bespoke and focusing on smaller businesses, and we're going to take some of those ideas and use them as part of the sessions and the one-to-ones that we have. In terms of our partnerships, you can see here we've worked with many organizations over the years. You can see Ealing Council, Houso, Brent, Hillingdon, Hammersmith and Fulham and Watford, OPDC, as well as our local chambers, West London Business, and other chambers inside the home county. So it's taken us years to build up this relationship. And for example, tomorrow we're at Heathrow for the launch of their skills hub for SMEs tomorrow. So again, that's a partnership that has been in place for a long time now through Heathrow. And what we've done previously, we've talked about business regeneration and growth. That was in Park Royal. We did that about 3-4 years ago. We had our e-booster program with Brent. All of these videos are available for you to look at on our YouTube channel as well. So if you want to go back and look at anything you've missed or want to pick up on some of the other topics that we might not cover in this program, those videos are all available to you. The link is here, and we can send those out afterwards as well, Amelia, to participants. Note to self to do that. And here's our program. So we have this launch today. So great. Thank you very much, everybody, for coming along and sharing with us what we're doing. The next event on the 24th of July is about developing key partnerships. So that's how do we identify, engage, and work with the right type of business for us as a business to grow. And that can be partners around supply chain, that can be partners around education, could even be partners around pieces you do well that they don't do, and vice versa. So that could be in the security business where you can combine cyber security and physical security. Could be in the food manufacturing business where you've got a great idea for recipes and things like this, but you need to find a partner you can work with to produce your product at a price point that works in the market. We then have on the 26th of November, early stages, ideas and startups. And that's how do I get from this great idea I have, find a market, build out my business to meet that demand. Blueprint for success, so that's about business models that work. So that's about using business model canvas, value proposition canvas to look at that. We also have 2 growth sprints. So these will be quite intense afternoons in December and January, one in South and one in Park Royal, where we come together and look at how do we grow, what are the key challenges, and it's going to be collaborative and interactive. So that will be quite good fun, and it'll be in person, so that's a little bit different from a webinar. And then between now and March next year, we have one-to-one sessions available as well. For all of you who have registered on the call here today, you will get an email with a link to book time with me. If anybody's got questions or anything they want to add, just drop something in the chat, and we can always respond as we go along. We've thought about your responses to the registration and looked at ways of focusing the one-to-one sessions to get the most out of the session. So there's a little bit about the key context of what your challenge is. So based on the feedback you've provided, questions will be set around, okay, so what does that look like in terms of sales, marketing, change of organizational direction, whatever that topic might be. A dive into what are the challenges that you're seeing in that business, and it's using a method of focusing, okay, what are the challenges, rather than going to how do we solve the problem. It's just trying to be clear about what the problem is, then looking at how do we build on experimenting with and finding ways that we can put actions in place to make that happen. And then the close and connect, so that's about a follow-up to wider business growth. And then there's an action card that we'll send you that has the actions and the next steps for you, and that will be sent to you after the call. It's very much a coaching session focusing on that model of growing your business, giving you opportunities to build on your thoughts, and putting the onus on accountability back with you as a business owner, because it's only if you're accountable for something will you be able to deliver on it. Some of the topics we've had, long list of ideas from people, but it broadly feels broad categories are lead generation marketing, so the sales marketing activities, building out product, developing business plans, and looking at funding and cash flow management as well. So the variety of topics there. As I say, each business owner has given us the topic that there's interest of them, so that will help plan and organize the sessions around that ahead of the meeting with you. And we'll go through that when you book your one-to-one session. And what do we mean by start, run, and grow your business? Everybody on the call is at a different stage. Some people have a great idea, the ideation stage. What are we doing? How are we going to build up a business? Some people have already got a business is up and running, been there for a short time. Some people will be starting to generate revenue and looking to be growing. Depending on where you are you trading? Are you scaling up? So we'll look at ways of moving you to the next stage in that growth cycle. If you've got a great idea, let's talk about how we can turn it into a startup. If you've got a startup, how do we generate more revenue for you? And how do we get you from a revenue generating model to one where you're trading successfully and generating a wage for you and your team? And part of the conversation with the Ealing Council as well is about making sure that businesses are able to generate good jobs that pay the London living wage. So part of our conversation with you will be about, can you generate revenue that will give your team the London living wage? We have this ideation and value proposition design. This is really all about looking at what's the market that's out there and how does your business idea address that market need. And so we go through this ideation canvas, which is looking at saying, okay, so what is the customer needing? What jobs do they need to be done? And what are the pains and gains from that? So pains could be everything's slow, it's very manual, it takes me a long time to generate a document or a receipt for someone or an invoice. And we look at ways to, okay, well, what steps can you take to reduce that pain for the customer? If you're a technology company, you might be saying, well, there's automation you can put in place. Or maybe if you're a marketing company, there's ways that you can start to look at capturing content through recordings and voice rather than written work. So there's different ways to solve those pains. And then what are the gains to get to the customer? So what is the actual value that your product, your service brings to the customer? And we'll talk about that and look at ways, so how do we actually get that value for the business customer that you're dealing with? We also have the business model canvas. Many of you will have seen this before, but this is a structured way of working through the components of your business model to say, who are our customers? What do they look like? What sort of size and shape do we want to deal with? And it may be that our product is suitable for many customers, but if we're starting somewhere, we might want to focus on customers who are the best fit for us. And then based on the previous work we've done in the value proposition design, we can say, well, this is how we serve that market. So we do this by being the best at what we do and working through the model to come up with the channels and the relationships you want to have with your customer. Channels could be digital, so through social media, could be physical, through meetings, through having a store, could be a combination of both, depending on what you need. And the relationships build on the values of your company and how that interacts with the customer. So that's part of the business model canvas there. On the left-hand side with the key partners, the activities, the key resources, that's all about who do you want to work with and how do you work with these partners and bring value that works for both. And then we'll also go through your cost and revenue. So looking at, okay, so how much revenue are generating? What's the cost structure they have? Are there ways you can increase revenue or improve your costs? So that's a brief overview of the business model canvas. Again, that's something to think about ahead of the conversation and the one-to-one if you haven't done that already. And just think about, where are your customers? Who are they? What do you want to talk about with them? The more you can prepare on your side, the better the conversation will be between us. And then going from a strategic model to a profitable one, and just thinking about, what sort of options do you have? Are you looking at a subscription model? Do you want somebody who is going to pay on a regular basis where you have a retainer, or a model where you provide them support? So software as a service, SaaS, Netflix, everybody's probably got a Netflix account. Whereas marketplaces, Amazon, Etsy, Airbnb, there are those sorts of places where you can use that as a platform for your product. So I've got a product, I want to sell it. I can use Etsy as my marketplace to sell things that I've made. So notebooks, clothing, that sort of item can be sold through there. Some ideas around the freemium piece. Mishak, yes, I can send you the presentation as well. I've got your email, so I can send it out to you afterwards as well. So the freemium model, LinkedIn, Canva. Sometimes you build something and you offer a piece free to people, and then there is a premium product you can add on to that. There are different ways of building up that model. We've also got franchising. You might have a great idea, but it doesn't scale as a company, but you might be able to scale that as a franchise. One that's launched just recently in Shepherd's Bush I've been working with is one called Zipyard. Judith, who's running that, has machines there that will reshape clothing for you, very similar to what Vivian Westwood did when she started her business. You can take along some older pieces of clothing and say, can I cut and reshape this into something that works for me now? And that's a franchise. And it's a model that comes with a standard setup and says, this is how you run your franchise. Others are direct to consumer, so you cut out the kind of the shop in the middle and you market directly, and others licensing IP where you've got property, intellectual property that you can actually use to build products and work with people. So looking at all of this and thinking about those business models, it's like, how do you launch something that gives you a low cost entry point into the market where you haven't spent loads of money? Monday.com is one, for example, where there was loads and loads of advertising, but they've got a big private equity investor. Many of us don't have a private equity investor, so how do we get the best value for the money we're going to spend on our advertising? And those strategic partnerships, sometimes we can use people to leverage that connectivity in the market and use those partners to share what we're doing. And so we'll talk about that in more detail. Pricing is always challenging. I think for businesses, it's all about, is my price right? I guess there was a game show like that at once upon a time, but the challenge there is also trying to understand what's the market demand for my product, what's the pricing strategy do I need to achieve that? If I push my prices up, will customers walk away, or will they continue to buy from me because they've got loyalty and adhesion with the brand? And sometimes your pricing strategies can also be about, how do I attract people in who are going to pay some money, pay a lot more money, or pay for a gold package where the value they perceive is better than the entry-level package. So there's always that tiered pricing available that's designed to pull customers in and move them on to maybe a higher level product. A couple of key things to think about as well is cost of acquisition for customers. So how much does it cost to acquire a customer, and what's the lifetime value of a customer? Again, these two concepts are really important because it costs us money to acquire a customer, and if the customer churn is very high, then that affects our profitability. We spend more money getting customers in than we actually generate from the revenue of having the customers. So we need to think about which of our customers are more profitable, how do we acquire them at a cost that means that we actually generate a profit from them, and do we know our net margin from all of the effort that we put into marketing, office overheads, spend on technology, etc., to give us our net profit. So pricing is always challenging particularly for new businesses, even for existing ones where we have discussions about, should we raise our prices by 5% or just above inflation, and how many have we lost in the last 12 months? So early stage, 0 to hero, getting our product launched. This is all about getting customer feedback. So on our customer journey, we've talked to customers, they've engaged with us, we've got a contract with them, we've done some work with them. And it's now, how do we do better to meet with our customers, get the feedback, build on what they're telling us to say, this is how we can improve our product, listen to what they're saying and respond to the feedback as appropriate. So I don't like your particular product because it doesn't do X. Well, that might be that it was never designed to do X. But if they put a 1-star review for you on your Google homepage, you need to be able to respond to that and be able to get the customer to understand what's going on. Standardized documentation, sales processes. One of the key things about building your business is saying, here's my role, this is what the responsibilities in that role are, and these are the processes related to that role. So as my business grows, I can start to hand over those processes to other people than myself, and that frees me up to focus on the areas where I add value to my business. And those opportunities for us to grow the business means that we are able to hand over a functioning business to the team as it gets bigger. One of the things we also have is, how do we respond to customer queries, customer complaints, challenges that the customer has raised? So having a process that is responsive and designed to give the customer the best experience is going to be critical. We talk about some of the techniques around ticketing, tracking what's going on, tracking orders, and responding to queries in that way. And with new products or variations on products, it's about being able to test the market quickly. Try a new product out, test it out, say, does this work for us in the market? Is there a response? What do customers think? Can we launch this? And you can use like a pop-up solution to do that. You might have a little shop, put some people in there, test it all out, generate some feedback from customers. The other point when we're growing is well to understand how much cash is going in and how much is going out. The velocity of cash in and out of the business is critical to us to fund the business and keep ourselves going. If we run out of cash, our business gets shut down. So how do we stop that from happening? But also we need to understand our margins. What's our break-even point? What's the minimum revenue we need to have? If I'm a training company running a session for a week, I need to have 10 people there in the room to make it worthwhile. If I am, running a clothing maker and I'm selling stuff through Etsy, how many of each product do I need to sell every month in order to generate the revenue I'm looking for? And then there's a process of feeding that back into our business model canvas so we can take what we've learned and continue to refine our business. And this is looking at customer growth. Okay, how do we acquire more customers? That turns into revenue, which tells us how we're progressing. And then we look back at what we've done and say, okay, well, that was what we did. Now, how do we move forward to look ahead and say, what do we need to do? So part of the business cycle is that look ahead to say 3 months, 6 months down the line, where do we need to be focusing so that our business is growing at the speed that we want it to grow? Sustainable growth. So once we've got past that kind of startup piece and we want to start scaling, it's like, how do we get a better revenue model? When we talk about diversifying revenue streams, it's also thinking about customer concentration. So if we've got 100% of our revenue tied up with 2 customers, so 50% or 75% with one, 25% with the other, we're running a lot of risk because we only have 2 customers and one walks away, we lose a chunk of our revenue, 75%, 25%. That can be catastrophic for businesses. So how do you start to build up a customer base where you're not exposed too much, say over 10% to a given client? And so some of the strategies around that are broadening your customer base, identifying new customers, getting new people in to buy from you, but also looking at ways that you can optimize the delivery of your particular product. So revenue streams can be diversified through customers and the number of customers you have, but they can also be diversified through the types of products you sell and the types of services that you offer. So there's a few different ways to make that work. The other thing we look at then is going more into your organizational structure, the roles, the responsibilities, who's in which role. And if you as the business owner are in multiple of those roles, how do we get you out of a particular role and find someone to take on that particular activity to free you up to focus on the strategic direction for the business. Automating operations and workflows. Key thing here is there's a lot of hype about AI now, but AI offers you insight into what you might want to build. So there are tools like Zapier and Make.com that will automate a lot of flow of data, but you need to understand how your business works first to do that. But if you're spending 2 days a week on administrative tasks and it's slow and you're copying data around and you're having to create new documents from information in one that's copied to another, there are ways and means of speeding it up, and you can use some fairly simple low-cost tools to achieve some of that automation and make your process flow more effectively. But these are starting points. This is not necessarily an end point. So you need to understand the process, you need to understand what you're trying to achieve, and then build your automated solutions to fit what you've got at the moment. And that can be done through, as I said, through Zapier, but there are lots of products out there that give you the connectivity to do that. Even some examples are using emails that are coming in with a specific title on them or from a specific sender. You can capture those and process them automatically without you having to actually touch the email. So if you get a supplier invoice, it always comes from invoices@supplier.com. You can pick up that email, forward on with the attachment to your accounting system and have it process the invoice automatically. So it cuts down the amount of time you are looking for things and also stops you missing information or missing invoices from your suppliers or from your payments from your customers. We also talk about funding, and one of the biggest challenges for business at the moment in the environment we're in is cash. Have we got the right amount of funding in place? Do we have backup lines of credit, maybe an overdraft, maybe a a company credit card that we can use in a pinch to fund the business if there's a shortfall in cash, but also can we get grants? Can we get other sources of funding? We might be able to do, for example, a university partnership where we can get some funding to do some research into a particular business topic, and that gives us some revenue to actually continue on and continue to build our business. We might look at research and development tax credits as well. Some of the products that you build, when you look at automation, when you look at effectiveness of your business model, can be claimed as R&D tax credits, and you can get refunds from the government based on the money you spend, but you need to set the process up properly at the beginning to make sure you're doing that. So if you're looking for that sort of insight, then again, let me know, and we can talk about how you go about doing that at the start, because if you started and you haven't done it properly, you can't reclaim as much as you could do if you get yourself set up in the right way. So there's some thoughts about the kind of building for sustainable growth. And the other topic that fits into that is that strategic partnership and joint ventures. Are there other people out there who I can work with that are going to give me a better return on the investment if we work together? And that collaboration and that partnership needs to be done in a way that says, yes, this is sustainable and works for me. And that can even be working with one of the examples I've seen is where somebody's doing solar panel installations. The actual kit needs to be couriered from an airport to the site for it to be implemented or to be installed. And this courier company is working with the main supplier because they don't have sufficient capacity in their fleet to do all of the delivery they need to do of these pretty heavy duty kit. You know, you're talking a large van with a lot of kit in it to be taken to a site, and it could be from Luton to Aberdeen. So somebody needs to turn up, pick it all up, put it in the van and deliver it to the right site. And some companies don't want to have, you know, a fleet of 600 vehicles, but they're happy to sub out the delivery process to a fleet of, you know, multiple operators who are reliable. So if you're a van operator and you're doing business to business delivery like that, that's an opportunity to look at, okay, who could I work with that needs products couriered from one place to the next on a B2B basis. So that, again, there's ways of looking at your model that focuses you in on saying, this is a great partnership because this company has a contract to deliver that's particularly good, but my company can actually do the shifting of the product. So again, we can think about those and think about that as a kind of joint venture, a strategic partnership. And the better we do in our delivery, then the more stories we have to tell and the more success we can demonstrate with our clients. As I said, if anybody's got questions or wants to flag up anything that they're thinking about, just drop it in the chat and I'm happy to answer. And here's some of the types of people we've worked with. So the boxes around, you know, courier companies, commercial cleaning, EV charging, signage, the Heathrow connections we've run have enabled some of our clients to talk to Heathrow to do EV installations for Alcoa in their car parks. We've had window suppliers working with joiners. So somebody's got a project to do some building and they've got to put in some windows. Well, look, here we go. Here's some windows that we can install as part of this overall project. We've also had the metal roofing company where they've been able to partner up with people to actually install the roofs. They supply the roof, they need somebody to install it. We've also had signage companies as well that we've worked with. So you can see that we've worked with a broad variety of physical companies, so pallets in logistics, building trade, but also specialist manufacturers, transport providers, even scented candles, somebody who was trying to build up a business selling scented candles. So there's a large number of ways that you can connect and grow your business by being involved with decision makers. And what we have done in the program is put people in touch with some of those decision makers through the network of connections that we have. But we also leverage our connections at West London Business because there's a larger database of people there that you can say, well, look, I'm looking to work with such and such a business. So Amelia and Elliot is your membership managers, I think it is, Amelia, can help find some of those clients for you to say, look, this might be a good connection for you and provide you with some of those warm introductions. So that's pretty much it from me for that part. After this session, you're going to receive a calendar link to my calendar. There'll be slots available there for you to book a time that works for you, and we can talk through your specific needs based on what you've submitted to us, but anything that you can send in advance would also help. For those of you who haven't done our Fit to Bid sessions, but I think many of you on this call I noticed had done that last year, you can use the same link to book a second session. There is an opportunity to do that with some of that crossover into the Fit to Bid program, and then that will give you the opportunity for 2 sessions along with all the webinars that we're offering. And I think that is pretty much it for me. It's been quite rapid, but if anybody has any questions, please let us know. But back to you, Amelia.
There is one question that we haven't already answered in the chat, which is sadly from Anonymous. So how can we get connected with another business in the same network as you? Is there any database of contacts, or simply meet you at the same events? So from my perspective, it's a bit hard to answer this directly, not knowing what business this is from, but this is all about the network that you build, utilizing contacts you have both through this program, because we do have some in-person events that we mentioned earlier, and I dropped those dates in the chat earlier on. And don't worry, we will remind you. We will be emailing you, and you will book your one-to-ones with Tony, who can also remind you. So that's a great place to start meeting either like-minded peers who can support you, or people who might provide you with some opportunities. Failing that, you can always talk to me about coming into membership at West London Business, where we can see how we can help you get access to those networks. Sadly, in terms of a database of contacts, GDPR kind of put a kibosh on all of that. Did you have anything to add to that, Tony?
Yeah, I think that's pretty good, Amelia. My thought on that is that some Killian, okay, thanks, Killian. Some of the clients that we dealt with in the program are looking for connections to Ealing Council. So through the program, and I note that Joseph and Andrea from Ealing Council are on the call as well. We've been able to direct some of our queries to them, and then they've been able to help find the right person inside Ealing Council who can actually take on the opportunity. And so that's one way of doing it. Within the kind of people I know across West London, sometimes it's an opportunity to just direct you to someone and say, look, this is probably a good person for you to talk to. Can't really promise anything, but at least we can say, look, this might be somebody to talk to. I think also, Killian, the other thing is, like, you know, I noted you've been quite active with Indy and the IKB event works that she's been running in Southall at Parkside Yards with Jags. So again, it's sometimes looking at, okay, well, if you wanted to work with, as an example, Berkeley Homes, then finding that right person in that organization would be Jags, and then starting a conversation then say, okay, so how do I navigate my way through that organization? So sometimes it might even simply be just, checking in with people and saying, who do you know? And that can even be also looking at their LinkedIn profile and saying, well, who else are they connected to? And are there ways of me finding my way through that? Yeah. Thanks. In both cases, just, like the idea of pointing people to people that can help. Again, it's all about those opportunities.
And I think also sometimes it's being open to being advised as to different people to connect with. So sometimes if you have a one-to-one with Tony, for example, he might actually go, well, you haven't thought about this person that you ought to connect with. Let's see if we can do that. So that's all why it's so important to book that one-to-one and be as candid as possible about your business. It's all treated in confidence. But if you're not candid, then it kind of limits the advice and support that we can give that is pertinent to your business.
And I think, Amelia, the other one that comes to mind is so for example, the West London Chamber holding their Festival of Business at UWL in October is to go along to events like that and see, okay, who's exhibiting, what do they do, are there ways that we can work together? But equally, you might say, well, actually, I'm going to take a stand there and put that on there and use that as an opportunity to generate your own list of people who come past your stall and engage with you. So there's a few different ways to do that. There are those sorts of opportunities, and there are other networking opportunities around. You know, there's Jeannie Shapiro in Chiswick. There's Indy who's been doing her stuff in Southall. So again, it's just about understanding that network of connections. The other thing that Ealing have released, and Amelia, we can send this out afterwards, is their Good for Ealing brand, and they've got a whole list of information about where to connect and opportunities, and there's about a dozen different categories from memory when I was looking at it last night. So again, I would suggest that if you're in Ealing, go and have a look at that and see if there's anything that can help you with that sort of question as well.
We've had Jason ask a quick chat. I've been trading since 2009 and work with large international companies. Is this something you can help with?
Yes.
Simple.
and I had noticed Jason's name on here, and had a look at what he was talking about, and won't go into too much detail. But I think in terms of what you're looking for, Jason, it could be more of a coaching sort of session, just to look at, okay, so what are the challenges you're facing? What have you tried? What haven't you tried? But looking at particularly in the industry you're in, maybe there are some connections we have that might be helpful for you in that space. But yes, definitely think about that. Although yes, my profile kind of at the start here says I work for UWL and I've been running my own consultancy. I have had 25 years of corporate experience prior to that, so very familiar with the larger international companies and the challenges of trying to work with them as a provider. Does that help, Jason? Great.
Yes, brilliant.
Thank you.
Now,
So, yeah,
Tony mentioned Tony mentioned Good for Ealing earlier. I'm just going to pop in the chat a link to their webpage, but specifically to the London Living Wage bits of that, because I don't think I think I mentioned it at the start. We're obviously trying to encourage prosperity everywhere for all people, especially in Ealing, and Ealing are doing a fantastic job supporting businesses to become part of the London Living Wage. So they are funding it for a bit, I think. We've got Andrea on the call. I'm not sure, Andrea, are you able to come in and say a few words? I'm hoping that Amy has made you a panelist.
Hi, thank you so much, Amelia. Can you hear me?
Yeah.
Yes.
Oh, great. Thank you. Yes, so just a little bit then about the London Living Wage campaign. So yes, as Amelia mentioned, we are looking to support businesses and residents with this campaign. We know that businesses are facing challenges financially, and it might not be easy to go to that higher rate. So what we're doing is offering a range of support services to help with that. So we offer, for the first year accreditation fees, we cover that. We offer additional business support, staff training, promotional opportunities. We've developed a wall of fame where we're promoting all of our living wage accredited organisations. We host a business awards in March, and yes, we're doing you know, a lot of additional support to this Innovate Ealing programme. So we would encourage all businesses to really do, you know, take part. If there's any questions, as Amelia said, there's lots of information on the Good for Ealing website, but you can also email us, and I'm happy to also talk to people individually if that's helpful. The email address is invest@ealing.co.uk. Yeah, so please feel free to reach out if you have any questions about that. Thank you.
Thank you, Andrea. That's very helpful.
Thanks, Andrea. I was just thinking. Sorry,
Tom.
Amelia. No, I was just thinking that a few weeks back, Park Royal Business Group hosted a leaders' lunch with Barry Gardner, who's the MP for West Brent or Brent West or something like that. And Barry was minister in a business where he was in the opposition. He was a business minister in the opposition. And Barry was saying that, yes, I get that there's a lot of challenge for business at the moment. You know, there's been increases in national insurance tax increases and putting the London living wage on top of that to make businesses pay their staff well is a challenge. But Barry turned it around and said, well, look, think about the total gross value added in West London. It's 70 billion pounds, and it's been 70 billion pounds for 8, 9, 10 years now. And so Barry said, as businesses, what I would like you to do is say, can every business increase their revenue by at least 10%? Because if all the businesses in West London did that, we would have a 10% uptick in GVA, which would give us another £7 billion in GVA. So trying to think about it that way, say, yes, we've got a lot of cost pressure coming on us, but what can we do as businesses to grow our revenue and deliver those good jobs and well-paid jobs for local residents, I think is the mindset that business owners could aspire to. Is how do I do more? How can I generate more revenue? And what are the opportunities for me? So that was Barry's challenge.
And that's what we're here to support you with, I think.
Yeah.
So just wrapping up then, finally, if there are no further questions, unless I hear otherwise, what I can do is make sure that everybody who's registered or attending this webinar, we can add to our newsletters so that you hear about networking events that you may be interested in order to get those business opportunities going. Sorry, no, it's invest@ealing.gov.uk. I missed out a V, sorry. It's .gov, Maria. I hope that's okay. So yes, we will. Yeah. Okay, good. So that's what we can do. We can add you on so that you find out all about what's going on so that you can attend when necessary. And I guess finally, it's just to say, please put those dates in your diaries for the upcoming Zooms and for the 2 in-person events, and make sure that you contact Tony to book in your one-to-one so that we can get going with supporting you.
Yep, thanks a million. If you want to meet with me, there is a breakfast in Acton tomorrow at the Act One Cinema for which is part of the things to do with your Acton bid. So that's at 8:30 tomorrow morning in the Act One Cinema. You can sign up via Eventbrite for that, and I of course don't have the link handy, but it'd be great to see some of you in person if you are free tomorrow morning for breakfast. Thanks, okay, I'll see you there.
And other than that, thank you so much for coming along, and we are all looking forward to helping you grow. We look forward to seeing you at the next session.
Great, thanks Amelia, thanks everyone, thanks Andrea.